Exact same theater. It's the same lot. If you look at all the scenes in this movie, it is Hill Valley.
And you're like, is that?
Yeah. It is literally Hill Valley. So that is the theater he drives into in Back to the Future.
So Gremlins go boom, but just like the other time where all the Gremlins died, Stripe got away.
Well, Stripe didn't get away in as much as he was hungry.
Yeah, because he saw candy, and he's like, oh, that's cool.
Across the street.
And then they see him in the fucking window, so they're like, all right, here's the showdown time. Billy versus Stripe.
Yeah.
He's chasing him around. They're fighting. Gizmo saves the day. Though, even though Billy and Stripe are fighting for a good 5 minutes, this whole cat and mouse game they're playing. Here comes fucking Gizmo thinking of like, oh, that car movie I watched, Vroom Vroom. Okay. Gets into a little toy car and just drives to save the day.
Okay. I have to bring this up.
Okay.
Because as we'll get into when we're talking about the movie, about what we thought of the movie, I do not remember this movie all that well. I didn't watch this movie very much as a kid. I watched the sequel significantly more. Not because it was better or worse, it was just that was the one I had.
Yeah.
But I do very, very, very distinctly remember questioning what I'm about to question now. What is making that car go? Is there a gas pedal in the Barbie car? Because that makes no fucking sense to me.
I don't know. It's a movie, shut the fuck up.
Gotta tell you, there's a lot of inconsistencies in this fucking movie.
Yeah, well, it's a movie about killer little monsters.
But
so
I had to bring that up, just because that has been bugging me since I was like 6 years old. Every time I think about this movie, that's what I think about.
Dead Santa Dad stuff. Enough of this Barbie car driving its
all day long.
Nonsense.
I will listen to Phoebe Cates tell me about her dead dad all day long. But this car can't fucking drive, so it cannot.
So he's driving through the store, and right at the end, because there's this fountain in the store, and that's where Stripe's going to jump in and then start the process anew. Gizmo goes up a thing.
Yeah.
Grabs onto the shade. I got the strip.
The blinds.
The blinds.
See, you couldn't say it either. I couldn't say it in the beginning of the episode.
For the blinds. Drops down.
I
don't know if he'd have enough weight, but sure.
He wouldn't, but that's cool.
Open up the blinds. Sun, boom.
Melts.
Stripe. Fucking.
Oh, what a world.
Liquefies him.
Which, if he's got that much liquid in him, wouldn't he create more of himself?
And then we get the whole. It's kind of a horror movie, so we get that last. And it's a skeleton, and then his skeleton dies, and then that melts.
Yes.
Stripe's dead. Day is saved. Everyone goes back. Gizmo's all bandaged up. Billy's all bandaged up. Everyone's all bandaged up. The news kind of just sweeps it under the rug like, oh, it was just a night of hysteria. This town just went fucking crazy.
Yeah, and this is where we find out that the neighbor didn't die.
Yeah, Fuddleman's still there, and Mr. Wing shows up. Knock on the door. Dad shows up.
No, he doesn't knock on the door. He just fucking walks in.
Yeah.
They just turn around and he's there.
Dad's home at this point. Because he's throughout this film, he's calling from some like convention. Yeah. And he's on the road, and it's like these scenes mean nothing.
Yeah,
they're literally there was scenes where he would literally just sit there, and then there'd just be robots behind him.
Yeah, the robot from Lost in Space.
Yeah,
I think randomly hanging out.
I think that's literally why that scene is in the movie, because it's like, hey, look, it's the fucking robot from Lost in Space.
Oh, that's absolutely why.
He shows up. The whole. Mr. Wing shows up and takes Gizmo. Like, you're not ready.
Yeah.
He does say, maybe one day you might be ready.
Maybe one day you are. Well, it's because Gizmo liked him.
Yeah.
You know? So he was just like, clearly the little thing likes the guy, so I'll be nice. Yeah. So it's like, Christmas.
Yeah, he's got something to say to you. Yes. And then bye-bye Billy, the whole thing. And you're like, oh, that's so adorable.
If you want the tone to get back to the dead dad story, according to the novelization, which came from closer to the original script, all it says is that the grandson was punished severely.
Jesus.
This is the 80s. That kid got a beating.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So he's like, one day you might be ready for him, but today's not that day.
Setting up a sequel they had no idea they were ever going to make.
So, goodbye, everybody.
Yep.
And then the movie ends with Mr. Wing
walking into the painting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a painting.
So that's Gremlins.
Yeah.
It was alright. It wasn't... I wouldn't put it on... Now, granted, my list for Christmas movies every year is already longer than it needs to be, and I never truly get to all of them every year. especially as the years go on, you get busier and busier.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't add it to my list. But I get why people would.
Yeah.
Like, we're not gonna completely say this is a bad film.
No,
we're gonna give it like a low rating or anything. But I just don't think we're gonna.
No, for me, okay. Here's my thought.
It's not as strong to us as it is to other people, because this is one of those movies that there are people that just they love. Gremlins.
It's the nostalgic.
They watch it every year for Christmas.
Yeah, like there are definitely movies. Hell, my favorite movie of all time, which one day we will cover, is a terrible fucking movie. I know it's a terrible movie. I have no debate that it isn't, but I look at it through A, I just enjoy it, and B, I have nostalgic glasses for it. And that's what this is.
You think that's...
I do think that there's a lot of that. I'm not saying, again, this is a very well-made movie. Like, you know, my nitpicks aside, it's very well made. The special effects are fucking top-notch.
Like, the Gremlins are great.
Gremlins are great.
Like, the minute the Gremlins show up, this movie goes... Because before the Gremlins show up, it's an alright movie. It's okay.
It's just kind of nothing.
But like once the Gremlins show up, this movie gets kicked up a whole bunch of notches.
There was one thing. There was actually a scene you forgot to mention that I was hoping you would. Cause there was a fantastic little button that I was going to put on my notes for this. Remember how I was talking about how the crew fucking hated the Gizmo puppet?
Yeah.
You know the scene where the Gizmo puppet's strapped to the dartboard and throwing knives at it?
Yeah.
Do you know why that scene's in the movie? Wasn't actually written into the script. They did it to appease the fucking crew. The crew were the ones throwing the knives. We need to see that
little bastard.
They had a list that was literally called "Things We Want to Do to Gizmo."
Oh,
and they picked one. And they literally picked one, and that's what was filmed.
I hated that scene. I love Gizmo.
I had to put that in there because that's fucking hilarious.
Because I can't see Gizmo in pain.
But yeah, I mean, like it's weird. Like I'm trying to justify my opinion, which is hilarious. I hate doing this, but I kind of have to because this movie is so unbearably beloved. And I'll say this: I had more fun.
You're making it sound like fuck everyone.
No. I hate having to defend my not dislike, but my just sort of indifference. Like I actually will say, I had more fun recounting it now than I did watching it.
Okay, fair enough. We might run into that a lot on the show.
I think so too, but I think, like I said before, this wasn't a childhood movie for me. Just because, again, not that I didn't like it as a kid, it was, I had the sequel. I didn't have this one. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually, oddly enough, same thing with Ghostbusters. I had the sequel. I didn't have the original.
Which is weird.
Well, no, because my age, right?
I guess.
Like, I'm really getting into owning movies and shit like that around 1989, 1990. When did the sequels to Ghostbusters and Gremlins come out? 1990.
Yeah.
So these are the ones I saw more. So this movie just, like, unlike Ghostbusters, I went back and watched Ghostbusters a bunch of times because I just did. With Gremlins, it just sort of dropped off my radar. Once I stopped watching the sequel, every other day like kids do, the original just never popped into my brain. It just sort of wiped from my memory. To this point, I can't even tell you what happened in Gremlins 2. Like, I haven't seen that in forever.
All I know is that Hulk Hogan.
Exactly.
As himself.
Which I'm pretty sure is part of the reason why I watched it so many times anyway, just because Hulk Hogan's in it, and I was a huge wrestling fan. So, that was the thing. So this is...
I think Gene Shalit in it, too. I think he gets killed.
Gene Shalit is in it.
Yeah,
Gremlins. Well, because he was like the one critic who gave it a shitty review.
The original, yeah.
Yeah. So he, Joe Dante was like, kill that fucking guy. So, like, again, it's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not... I don't have the love for it that other people do. And that's all I think I'm saying with this. Is like, will I watch this next year? No. I can pretty much guarantee I won't see this again anytime soon.
Yeah. Not a slight on the film.
No, not at all. It's just not one of those movies that I'm going to watch over and over again. And in a world where I just added one from, I added Lethal Weapon, like, time is of the essence. Yeah. So I just don't think I'll be seeing this anytime soon.
So we get to the MVP before we get to the rating.
Mm-hmm.
My MVP is Stripe.
Sure.
Every time he's on scene, he gets a gun at one point, shooting at Billy, and he's just a little bastard.
Yeah.
And the actual design of the Stripe Gremlin
is great.
Mm-hmm. Frank Welker voices him perfectly.
Yeah. I actually have to agree. I was trying to think of something else, but I'm like,
I wanted to be Gizmo, but he's not in it.
Gizmo's not in it enough, and I was like, well, I would like to be like, Phoebe Cates, but even she's not in it that much.
No,
like, she's kind of a side character. This is Billy's movie. Because everything else around this movie happens to him. Like, everybody else is kind of a side player, which is kind of an odd choice. Which is probably part of the reason I have issues with it. I prefer, if you're going to do something like this, don't have it focus just on one person. I think you need to share the wealth, especially when your actor's not that strong.
Because, other characters, there's the mom who has that one awesome scene, and then she's kind of done for the rest of the movie. The dad, who's barely in it. He's the narrator, at the end when he goes, well, anytime there's something wrong with your TV or something, it might just be a gremlin.
Exactly.
You're more the narrator than an actual character in this film.
And I like Grandfather, but he's only in 2 scenes. Yeah. I think he's cool, and I like everything he does, but he's not in it enough. So unfortunately, for lack of options, we got to go with Stripe. Not that Stripe's bad, but there's really no other option.
As for ratings, I'm going to go with a 6. A little above average. 6 out of 10. Yeah. Dead Santa Dads.
Motherfucker, you stole mine. I told you it was my favorite scene in the movie, asshole.
You can also rate it out of Dead Santa Dads.
No. We got to do our own, because come on now. Let's see. I will give this movie probably a 5 melted stripe skeletons.
So
just dead straight on, like, parts in it I liked, but I just don't see me ever watching this again.
Okay.
Yeah, it is literally just okay. Like, again, the positives, like, the special effects are fucking top-notch, and I wish we would live in a world where more movies like this are being made. Again, I wish we could have things like that fucking Dead Dad story pop up every now and then in movies. Because she came in like a ninja and depressed the world, and then everything else was back to normal. Like, all was good again. Like, we were back to just movies. Yeah. We return you to our originally scheduled movie. I'm like, what?
You just drop that fucking bomb on us and go, but seriously, back to the movie.
But Gremlins now,
Snow White and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I laugh, Steve, at the beginning when you said the date.
I know.
Because our next movie in our alternate Christmas 80s extravaganza.
Yes. We are going back exactly 1 year.
Because June 8th, 1983.
Yes.
So 1 year. Exactly to the day in the present.
Yes.
And in the past. For the Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy 80s classic, Trading Places.
You got to do it.
I think that's one of the ones out of the 4 that we're going to pick that truly is an alternative Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Because that movie, because it spans.
There's no debate.
Because it spans.
Yeah.
The other movies that we're going to cover this month are kind of Christmas Eve, week of Christmas, and then it's done.
And then the big
Christmas Day.
The big one is the one that I will fucking fight you.
But even that one's only Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. This one happens along the way that it's Christmas.
Christmas does show up eventually.
But then it bleeds into New Year's and all that. Yeah. So then this one is truly alternative Christmas. Trading Places will be next week. Another comedy.
Yeah. It's just how it happens.
It's how it happens.
Yeah.
I guess this one's not... Well, we did a horror comedy this week, and we'll just do a straight-up comedy next week. And then we're going to end with a big bang. I mean, I'm sure you guys have pieced it together, but we won't let you in on it.
No, I'm not saying it.
Till the end. So next week, we'll be Trading Places. But for this week, we're out of here. For Steve.
Justin.
We're way back and gone.
Bye-bye, Billy.